bit. Do you have anything to say about that?
So what the lab refers to is a program of collaboration with the Russian nuclear weapons laboratories. So in 1986, in January, when I became director, that was not on my screen. On my screen was how do we make sure that we keep those guys away from the United States. By Reykjavik, as I mentioned in October of 1986, Reagan and Gorbachev getting together, that changed. And then as a result of Reagan-Gorbachev Reykjavik, they had actually decided that these weapon scientists should work together to develop verification technologies for each other's nuclear tests. There was a nuclear test ban treaty that had been on the books since 1974. Now we're in 1987, 88. Was still not ratified by the US Senate because we believed they cheat and they thought we cheat. And we didn't believe that without coming on site you could ratify them. So the president said, well, hey, look, we're now talking to each other. Go to each other's sites. Do some on-site measurements, do some off-site measurements, and be able to demonstrate that you can do this off-site so that we can go ahead and ratify the treaty. So we did. So in 1988, we had this remarkable experience. We wound up with Russian nuclear weapons scientists at the Nevada test site, working side by side with us and actually putting a cable down the test hole where we had this Los Alamos device deep underground and measuring that. And so when we set this thing off on August 17th, 1988, I was in the Mercury control room out in Nevada test site, okay, with, of course, all my American colleagues around me. But the Russians also sitting in the same place, and they were making the measurements. And then, this was August 17th, September 14th, 1988, our guys were over on the Russian test site. It was still the Soviet test site. It was in what now is the country of Kazakhstan, as it split off when the Soviet Union dissolved. So that experience was just earth-shaking to me. Not only a nuclear weapon going off, but the emotional experience of having the Russians there. And we learned so much from that interaction with each other. The most important thing is it was like looking in the mirror. They were just like us. They were just like the scientists of Los Alamos. They were smart. They were well-educated. And they were incredibly patriotic, loyal to their country, and dedicated to the defense of their country. And we said, that's what we do. And then lo and behold, they actually started reaching across to us and sending signals. Look, we'd like to get together. We'd like to talk about cooperation in the nuclear arena. You know, there are lots of scientific things that we still don't understand, and we'd like to work with you guys. Well, I tried to get Washington to approve that, but I didn't have any luck. But then in December of 1991, as the Soviet Union was coming apart, then Secretary of Energy, Admiral Watkins, approved that we could have an exchange of laboratory directors. In other words, their two directors of their Los Alamos Livermore would come here, visit Los Alamos Livermore, and I was Los Alamos director, John Knuckles was Livermore director, we'd go over there and visit their laboratories. And we did in February, late February of 1992. Less than 2 months after the Soviet Union dissolved, we were there inside of their secret city. They were secret cities. They weren't even on the map before this time. Secret cities, secret laboratories. We toured through there. We saw things that the Intel community would have loved to have seen, for the last 20 years. They showed them to us. They talked to us. They talked straight to us. Their concerns about nuclear safety, their excitement about working together scientifically. And so I came back to Washington and I said, look, these guys are terrific. We should work with them, not only to make the world a safer place, because they now have their own problems. The economy had gone to pots, political system change, but they're so smart, they're so good, they have so different ideas than we do. And working together, we could do things that we could not do ourselves. And eventually enough of that was approved that by May already of 1992, I had one of our people that I put in charge of the nuclear cooperation program, and then we called it lab to lab, people to people, scientist to scientist. Steve Younger was over there with a couple of our people in May of 1992. By 93, we were doing joint experiments together in each other's laboratories, behind the fence, as we call it, of course with proper security. That program then grew into more than a 20-year program where we probably had 1,000 laboratory people involved over the years. All three weapons laboratories, Los Alamos, Lawrence Livermore, and Sandia. Then a number of the other DOE laboratories. So 1,000 more scientists taking thousands of trips back and forth, working closely with each other. And one of the things we did was create new science, new ideas. Highest magnetic fields ever produced in the world through combination of Los Alamos and what we call VINIF, their Los Alamos technologies.